This week, Sony goes plus ultra in pettiness. Starfield and Suicide Squad gets delayed, and the Mario movie gets its final trailer. Because this is the Nerd Cave News, and I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with Power Hungry, Ruthless, and Criminal Mastermind are just a few words that describe this newly appointed head of the crime family empire. His appointment came after a mysterious murder of the former head, and many suspect, but fear to say, he may be responsible. Be careful if you do business with him. It's Turog the Hutt, head of the Hutt crime family.
Oh, a nice little Star Wars tie-in, and crime hungry, ruthless. I love that exposition. Definitely top exposition so far of the year. But the name now is it? Yes.
I gotta ask the question. Where does it rank? Where does it rank?
Now is it now? I see how you spelt it here. Is it Trurog or Turog?
Dude, I just read it and it just comes out however it comes out. You know what I mean? Hey, just like making sure. Orochimaru, it's whatever I want it to be.
Ororimashu for like
Ororimashu, man.
Oh, Lord. Oh, man. So, because I love the play on the Star Wars, the Hutt crime family, because that is arguably one of the most respected families in Star Wars.
Yep.
But... So number 1, so let me read down. So number 6 is Delphina, Warrior Princess. Number 5 is Harmony, Proudfoot of Hobbiton Hole.
Harmony. Every week, man. Every week I got to go over this. Anyway, go ahead.
Number 4, Monsieur Jean-Jacques Ducateau. Number 3, Ligurian God of the Seas. Number 2, Jingo Huff. And number 1, Ceres Ulthura, the Secret Keeper. Now, the it's either going to be number 2 or number 1. Only number 1 because of like the inside joke of that we have for number 1. Oh, but the Hutt nope. I'm a just shoot from the hip, just like Han shot first. It's going to be my number 2.
Number 2.
So
it replaces what? What did it just push down?
Jingo Huff. Jingo Huff now moves down to number 3.
Jingo Huff. Jingo Huff, Jingo Huff, Jingo Huff all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a one-horse open sleigh. Hey. Guys, this episode is brought to you by the Epic Games Store and our wonderful patrons, but more about that later because this is the Nerd Cave News, guys. I hope you're doing well. And I see in the chat that someone has learned how to milk a hog, but the horses look scared when he was around, too.
Ooh.
Talking about Murdoch.
Oh. Let me see. Comprehensive. I need to put these in a comprehensive list. I've got a list, Amy.
Derek's got a list going on. You know what I mean? But yeah, like now, Derek, when you're judging, okay, I'm just curious. Like, let's get a little eye into the judging, and then we'll get into the news. Okay. Sorry, Turog the Hutt.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. Like, do you just judge off the like? How are you breaking it down? Does the exposition like have anything to play with the name? Or does the name just sit alone? Like, how are you doing this? Like, what is your point system? How do you decide? Or is this all just feel? Is this all just made up?
I mean, part of it is just off the cuff. I will say, but the name has to flow really well in my mind. It has to stick the landing because the exposition is a landing strip for the plane that is the name. And if the name doesn't stick the landing of the exposition, I'm not feeling it. But so the exposition, it can be a great exposition because I remember, I don't have an example off the top of my head, but I remember there were times last year where the exposition was great, but then the name fell flat for me. So the exposition can be great, but the name, it has to be cohesive and harmony. Now, the tiebreaker is if like anything like sticks out, like if it just like, if the way it melds together, if there's anything, like I said, like Star Wars, if it tickles my nerd fancy,
Yeah.
that plays a factor into it as well. Like last week, Secret Keeper after, based off an inside joke. So I'm like, okay, that will resonate more with me than just if you just like Ligurian God of the Seas. I forget the exposition, but it's like, okay, that's a good name, but it doesn't
Yeah.
hit with me like in a like if that was going against like Turog the Hut, that wouldn't like Ligurian doesn't hold a special meaning for me other than just like, okay, it's a good name.
Hmm.
So
Okay. I just wanted to make
so
sure.
the expedition, it has to like the expedition name has to be cohesive,
Mhm.
but the edge will go like the name ultimately decides what pushes it over the edge. But also like if we ever have a good tiebreaker is like if it ever tickles my nerd fancy.
Gotcha. Well, there you have it, guys. That's how Derek decides what gets number one or what goes to the bottom of the list. Because, secretly, Turog the Hut is a warrior princess. Just letting y'all know that. Now, Turog the Hut, we've got a lot of discussions to talk about. And I know everybody's ripping and ready for this. I just want to know, Derek, what have you been playing? I didn't even tell you this. This is not even on the list. What have you been playing, Derek?
You got me with my hand in the cookie jar. Because I was going to try and play um Jedi Fallen Order this week to try and like catch up on that replay in time for Survivor next month. But some things at work came up, like we had like I was gonna play it last night because I had today off, and then like when I got there, like, oh, our district manager's coming to visit tomorrow, and I'm like, oh crap, so we got to get extra stuff ready. Like I even stayed to help grocery a little bit, so I didn't get home till 11:30, and by the time I sat down, I'm like, I don't feel like playing anything. So lately, I have not been playing anything, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, but I'm gonna make an effort within the next week to play something.
In the next week, Okay. I played a little bit of a game last night.
Oh,
I played a little bit
Hogwarts
of
Legacy.
No, I played a little bit of Plague Tale Requiem last night. Yeah, I played about an hour and everything. Jumped back into it, and the interesting thing, like for anyone that played played Innocence and everything, something that they introduce into this game is, last time you would literally get hit, with an arrow or like a pole, like the first time someone threw it at you.
Right.
This time it's like it gives you like a dodge, like a free dodge, like you don't even have to do anything, but you go into like a panic attack kind of state, like you start freaking out. So it makes it harder and everything. But I think it's a more interesting kind of gameplay mechanic because it's like if you had a huge javelin just whiz by you, you would be freaking out too.
Exactly.
So I think like, and it's a storytelling element. I don't want to give anything away, but I'm really like, I jump back in. I'm like, okay, I'm in this place. I remember everything that's going on, but they did so much to improve this game, and I'm really enjoying it. It's the game that I'm going to probably play all the way through next. Good. I know I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy on stream, but it's like only when I'm on stream and everything. So it's taking a little bit of time to get into that and everything. So yeah, guys, let us know what you're playing down in the comments, and I'm just as they roll in, we'll talk about them and everything. But Joe says, last night I was playing Assassin's Creed 2, and he's trying to platinum it. So,
good luck.
I don't chase the platinum, Derek.
It depends on the game. Like if it's something now, anything tied to a difficulty level, no dice, because I barely have enough time to play through a game once, let alone multiple times for difficulty. Also, if it's not like single player games, like no Sony games, yes, like I still need to get the platinum for Ragnarok, but hopefully that won't take me another 4 years like 2018 did to actually get the platinum. But I digress. I only really caring about like with the big Sony games that stick with me, but chasing platinums like I've never been into as well.
Yeah, like I chased achievements and all that kind of stuff back in the day. Platinums not as much. I've gotten a few, but they're not like my goal or anything. I definitely like if I was going to go after any, it would be God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. Those would be the two that I would go after the first. Like the only thing that's holding me back on Ragnarok is the crows, and then
Okay.
the queen, the Valkyrie queen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally the last one that those are the two that only holding me back and everything. Just as I'm a platinum hunter. Okay.
Um. You didn't get you wouldn't want to trace the platinum for Ghost of Tsushima?
Maybe.
Okay.
There's a lot of collectibles of Ghost though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the only problem. And
Come on, Mister. I'll play it on 8 different platforms multiple times.
hey, I will, man. It's like I want to get a Steam Deck, and then when it comes out on PC, I'm going to play it on Steam Deck. Just saying, and it'll take me 2 years, but I'll play the mess out of it again.
Exactly.
One last announcement tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central Time. Amy will be live here on the Nerd Cave playing some Animal Crossing. She's going to be touring some islands. It's going to be great. So come be a part of that. It's going to be a fantastic time. But Derek, that is more of what's going to happen tomorrow. Tonight, let's talk about what's going on in gaming. First up, Starfield blast off in September.
So Bethesda has just unveiled that their vast space RPG Starfield will be released on September 6th. Moreover, they are hosting a presentation to give us more info about the game called Starfield Direct, which is taking place June 11th. In a new video hosted by game director Todd Howard, he states the Direct in June, which happens to be the weekend before E3 starts, will provide a deep dive into the game. He reiterates that Starfield is a unique experience that also has many of the hallmarks fans expect from a Bethesda title. We last saw Starfield during the Xbox Game Showcase last summer, where Bethesda revealed its extensive scope, including thousands of planets, spaceship construction, environmental scanning, and other features. Now, what it doesn't talk about is like we all saw this coming, when they talked about the developer direct back in January, and they said, "Oh, Starfield will be a later thing." We all kind of suspected it's like, okay, back at the last showcase they had in last June, they said, "Oh, all the games shown here will be coming out in the next 12 months." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now it's January, turn of the new year. Some things you're going to expect to get delayed, and we all kind of figured Starfield was one of them. Like we all yeah, it still stinks that it got another delay, but at the same time, unlike Skull and Bones, we are actually have high hopes for this game, and it's one of those like we keep reiterating it, like yes, we want Redfall to be good as well, but Starfield is like Microsoft has to get right if it wants to start taking control of this mindshare from Sony that, hey, this is where you need to come to play our games.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that they've struggled with is like they've had solid titles. If Deathloop would have launched on Xbox with that exclusivity, I think it would have done gangbusters for Xbox. But, with PlayStation having that exclusive deal and everything, it didn't. But Xbox has really had an issue with getting games out that stand the test of time, really, to be honest. Like Halo Infinite, like when it came out, it was great, the story was good, but it being a live service definitely hindered it. And I know season 3's out and a lot of people are really excited about it. I might jump back into it just to test it out. I'm just gonna say, Derek, just
dip
to
your
see,
toe in the water, but not hoping for anything.
like I'm not gonna go ham on it again, you know what I mean? I gotta be careful because I get addicted to that game too easily. But Microsoft has struggled because where's Gears 6? Where are these like big titles that we've, their studios are known for? Where's Fable? Where's, like all of those things? But now like they've got
State of Decay 3.
Yeah, but they've got Bethesda now, and this is the big thing. This is, Redfall, I think will be a very niche kind of thing. Not as big as Starfield will be.
I feel like it has Deathloop potential where it's like not a lot of people are expecting things from it just because of the stylistic approach to it, but I think it has the ability to take off.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does, especially like with the customization and everything. I just don't know how heavily they're going to lean into the multiplayer side, like if you have to have people to play it, kind of like Back for Blood. Like it wasn't the AI was not as solid for you to get through those harder levels and everything. So only time will tell. Starfield has got to go and has got to like be amazing, because a lot of people are going to compare it to a little game called Outer Worlds, because that game was amazing. The storytelling, the humor, the game design, it was so well done. People are going to continue to compare Starfield to Outer Worlds because, man, it was such a good game.
It was. So I need to go back and give it another shot because I played it. And again, it was around the time where because I was still working at ye old GameStop, and that was during the holiday season. I'm like, that's when you don't have time to play anything, and I'm just like, okay, I'll get back to it eventually, and never did.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to the story I teased at the beginning of the show. So you send me the screenshot of Starfield, getting a new release date and whatever,
Yeah.
and like you talking about the direct because it's also going to be after Microsoft's presentation that week as well. And yeah, and I was like, man, I wonder what that means for Spider-Man because Spider-Man 2018 was around a September launch, so I'm like, it'll probably be later in the fall now, like October, November. And Zach's like, you want to make a bet? And I'm like, no, I'm not.
No.
I've done that. I'm burnt out on that. And he's like, come on, man, where's your sense of adventure? And I'm like, with your Five Guys.
Well, you first was like, oh, I think it might come out in September. And I'm like, nah, it's not going to come out in September. Like, it's going to come out in October, November. Yeah. I would wager, Derek, if I was a wagering man, and if somebody would step up to the plate, you know what I mean? And
whatever.
And be a man, this is what I would do.
Okay.
I would say it's coming out in November.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out that way for Ragnarok.
Yeah. Now, it's being way more specific than I was with, like, Ragnarok. Ragnarok was like, it's coming out in 2023. But, yeah, I would say.
That's true.
I would, yeah.
Well, see, by that point, we didn't know if Ragnarok was going to make the date. And, like, granted, Spider-Man could still get delayed, but at least Spider-Man came out beginning of the year and was like, yeah, we're coming out fall of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Dan makes a good point. You say thousands of worlds gives me No Man's Sky PTSD. And I think seeing No Man's Sky, seeing Cyberpunk, that a lot of people are afraid to step into that bear trap. And I think that's why you're getting like they've never set a date until they were like, oh, the next 12 months, but it never was a solid date. It was it was there. It was like an amoeba. Right. And now it's like, okay, yeah, they technically pushed it back, but did they really delay it? You know what I mean? Because they never gave a date and everything. So
exactly,
I think
like what we talked about, it's like, oh, the games shown from last June are going to hit in the next 12 months. So that was sort of like a loose thing. But I mean, Microsoft shouldn't have never committed to that anyway. They were being overly ambitious just because they were trying to get, whether it was investors or whether it was trying to get fans hyped about, the next year of Xbox to boost sales is regardless. But we kind of figured as massive as Starfield is trying to be, they weren't going to hit that 12-month date.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, from what they've said is like, there are going to be definitely like big hub worlds that we're going to see that are going to be more tied into the story. There are going to be more planets that are kind of barren as well. Like, so you're not going to get like these massive, like real, like built out things all the time, but you're going to get some more procedurally generated planets, that sort of deal. But they're definitely going to be like these big hub worlds that are well thought out and designed and everything. So I can't wait for that. Like, again, Outer Worlds, it is an amazing game. Obsidian really showed what they can do. Like, I think about New Vegas. Like, Obsidian has shown that it can out Bethesda. So 100%. I'm hoping that Bethesda is going to step up, and I really, like, I'm crossing my fingers, my toes, my eyebrows, everything, that it will be able to launch without a ton of bugs, and that the engine, whatever they're running it on, is not going to look like this hot garbage that's smeared across the screen the whole entire time. So,
well, and I think, their whole reasoning is like they want to make sure it is as polished as it can be for launch. Now, obviously, with the way game development goes and deadlines have to be made, no game's ever going to be perfect at launch. Like, there's always going to be that day one patch regardless. But Bethesda games have been known to have an obscene amount of bugs day one. So I think they're trying to squash as many of those as possible to make it to like maybe like 9% of the game is bugged out or whatever. So
yeah, hopefully limiting as much of that as possible. Speaking of delays, we're going to jump into our second story. Suicide Squad, the Just Kill the Justice League, has reportedly been delayed again.
So yeah, speaking of, like, this is one of the stories that happened like literally like a couple hours. Like, I was about to be done making the doc, and then this article pops up, and I'm like, nunny. The and it feels like the Batman Arkham Knight situation all over again, where they show off the game, they give a release date, and they get everyone hyped, and then like literally a week or two later, and it's delayed. In response to the negative feedback from Sony's State of Play, Warner Brothers has postponed their upcoming game's May 26th release date, as reported by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. Fortunately, this delay isn't due to a complete redesign or revamp, rather it is primarily for polishing and refining existing gameplay elements that were criticized in last month's preview video. An anonymous source with intimate information of the situation has revealed that a new release date is yet to be announced. Upon hearing this news, IGN reached out to Warner Brothers for comment and awaits their response. So the thing I want to hit, because I got the article with Jason Schreier's. He's like, this delay also moves Suicide Squad out of a crowded release window that currently includes the Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo, and Final Fantasy. For what it's worth, a delay like this is mainly for polish, not to overhaul the core gameplay that caused the backlash. Suicide Squad started off as a game as a service and will remain one short of a complete reboot, which would require a much longer delay.
Yeah.
So I have mixed feelings on this. Like, granted, yes, polish it up or whatnot, but we had our concerns. Like, we weren't over the moon about the gameplay reveal about Suicide Squad at the State of Play, and it's like, why is King Shark using guns? You know, like, why is Captain Boomerang, whose main weapon should be a boomerang, using guns in this? Like, I don't mind the games as a service, like the gear system, like it's like, especially like so many games are using RPG elements that the gear system doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
But like it just didn't feel like authentic to a lot of like the power. Of course, you know, you have the abilities like King Shark's a tank, you know, Deadshot's your sniper class, you know, that kind of thing. But with it being delayed, like, I don't know why you would delay this unless it's like really buggy, because a lot of the complaints that people had with the State of Play aren't even going to be addressed. Now, yes, like you said, needs to be a lot. It would require a longer delay, but the fact is, you won't even give a new like window as to when the game might come out. Is like, okay, how long do you need to revamp or like or polish this game out?
Yeah, and I definitely feel I'm trying to find. I can't remember this dude's name. It's not Andrew Goldfarb. It's he does Podcasts Unlocked. Ryan McCaffrey. That's what his name is. Yeah. Like he made a statement. It was like, it seems like everything you're shooting is just like these glowing purple orbs in this game. Yes. And it's like, you watch that gameplay trailer and like there are some impressive looking things. There's a lot going on. It's very vast, and like you're able to, you know, missions, like you can play with different characters, all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of customization, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But if it's just shooting purple glowing orb number 4054, that's going to get so old real fast. And
again, just like in Arkham Knight with the Batmobile, like there's only so many tanks you could destroy in a row.
Exactly. And I feel like if we don't get anything changed, it's going to be the Batmobile, like the Bat tank all over again, but it's the whole entire game. Like, I think the story will be interesting. I don't think the gameplay is going to be there though. Like,
no,
like versatility and everything. And like you look at a game like God of War 2018, there was not a lot of versatility in the enemies that you fought, but there was versatility in the combat.
Yes, exactly.
The variety that you were able to do with the chains, the Leviathan axe, the different talisman that you had on both of those, using a trace and all of that, it made combat stay fresh, even though you're fighting the 15,000 ogre or whatever, you know what I mean? And even like when you look at the newest game, like there was a lot more in there. You got a new weapon, you got various different ones and everything. I think, excuse me, guys, I think with this we might have an issue where it's like, okay, it's a looter shooter, it seems like, and the enemies that you're facing might be varied, but I feel like there's going to be a cap on this for sure, because people want to be Destiny because Destiny made a lot of money, you
Yep.
know, but this is not Destiny. You know what I mean? Like
No,
they're
far from
playing
it.
they're playing with an IP that doesn't really lend itself to that. So only time will tell, you know, pushing back for polish, I don't think is, you know, a lot of people are still going to get the same game that we saw. It just might look a
Exactly.
little bit better. So only time will tell, Derek. Only time will tell. So
Yes,
I
sir.
want to read a comment here in the chat
Okay.
from Murdoch before we get into our next section. He's talking about Hogwarts Legacy. Guys, let us know if you're playing Hogwarts Legacy. He said, I was in Hogshead the other day, and I heard the most precarious thing. Some wizard named Derek was found south of Hogwarts slaughtering horses. And then heard he tried to reparo incantation on the horse with no avail. Be careful, south of Hogwarts. The streets are scary.
That is intriguing. That almost sounds like a really good exposition for a name down the road. You know, because south of he said south of Hogwarts. I'm like, huh? I live in the south, and it's like slaughtering horses and a guy who takes my name. Who's trying to come for my job? Who is coming for the king? Please direct them to me so I can handle them swiftly.
The king. Do y'all hear this? Like, you got to get him down here so we can do another nerd versus nerd because his
Well, I was talking
ego.
about the king of slaughtering horses. But,
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, murderer. Guys, you can support us by going over to the Epic Game Store. You can get awesome games. You can get so many different things. You can when Suicide Squad comes out, guess what? You can get it there too. If you want that game. I'm not saying that game's going to be awesome. You can check out, Hogwarts Legacy there. You can check out, if you're ready for Jedi Fallen Order's successor, Survivor.
Yeah, Survivor.
You can check that out. If you're like, man, I need to play Jedi Fallen Order, you can get it there as well. And when you go check out, be like, man, there's a creator code. Put in NerdCave at your checkout. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out it gives us a little bit of a kickback, a little money. Okay?
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you anything extra. It tells Epic, hey, give them some money because they're awesome. And they're like, hey, I like them too, so I'm going to give them that money. You can also get V-Bucks. And, Derek, you can also check out the Sony games.
Yes, sir. Last of Us Part 1 on PC is slowly approaching. We got about less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's almost here, man. Returnal just came out. And eventually we'll get Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. You know what I mean? Man,
eventually, you know what dawned on me? Because Ragnarok will get a PC release in the near future. What about Forbidden West? They have not talked about a PC version of Forbidden West. It's like, why are you going to throw the redheaded stepchild out?
Man, Forbidden West has got the worst. Like it was just like
it came and it went.
It was like a fart. It was a lot of bluster, but it didn't have the staying power. I love Forbidden West. Don't come after me. Don't try any of that. I love Forbidden West. But guys, you can check all of that out. Use our creator code, and you can be epic. It'll be like 5 years before they put them on PC. They're getting quicker about it. Like they really are. Yeah. Like think about like last year. Last of Us remastered, remake, whatever you want to call it, remake, was put out, and then they pushed it back to go along with like the end of the show and everything.
Yeah,
but that's a pretty quick turnaround. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So. Yeah. Well, and it's like Uncharted: The Legacy of Thieves collection came out in February, and then came out in the fall for PC. So they came out within the same year. So yeah, this is about roughly just over a 6-month release from when Last of Us Part 1 came out on PlayStation and is now coming to PC. So yeah. So I think they're trying to trim it down to within a 6-month window.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if, like, because both of those were kind of like either collections or remasters or remakes.
Yeah.
Returnal, when did Returnal come out?
2021.
Let's see. April 30th, 2021. So, like, it just came out.
Yeah, so about a 2-year gap, almost a 2-year.
That was a 2-year gap. So that one's probably the long, a long one. So,
yeah,
it's between 6 months and 2 years. So there you go.
They don't have an exact science.
No,
they're still figuring it out.
Definitely. But guys, speaking of PlayStation, let's get into the PlayStation news because, whoo, baby, we got some crazy stuff going on in PlayStation land. And I'm just like, you're making it hard. You're making it hard, Jim.
I know.
You're making this harder than it needs to be.
You make great games, but I could do without your leadership.
First up, Sony is concerned Microsoft would sabotage the quality and performance of future Call of Duty titles on PlayStation if Activision merger is approved.
So even with all the concessions that Microsoft seems to be making, it's still not enough to convince Sony that it should get on board with this deal going through. Sony is apprehensive of the potential consequences should Microsoft be given approval for their deal. One fear they have is that Xbox owners will be favored over PlayStation owners when it comes to gaming experiences, particularly with upcoming Call of Duty titles. They are afraid that Microsoft may degrade or sabotage any future versions of PlayStation consoles in order to encourage more gamers onto Xbox platforms. In a report from Sony sent to the UK's CMA, Sony argued that it believes Microsoft would work to drive players away from PlayStation and ultimately harm its business through a few methods, including degrading the quality and performance of Call of Duty on PlayStation compared to Xbox, raising the price of Call of Duty on PlayStation, degrading Call of Duty to ignore PlayStation-specific features, better controller haptics, or not prioritizing investing in such features, restricting, degrading, or not prioritizing investments in the multiplayer experience on PlayStation, and making Call of Duty available on Game Pass or available on MGS only on Game Pass. I don't know. I guess I didn't know. I don't know what that means, but right. My thoughts. All right. First of all, when has Xbox ever sabotaged? That would not be in Xbox's best interest to sabotage Call of Duty when PlayStation is dominating the market, because I was like, all right, you're going to drive all those people away. What about the people who can't, who only can afford one console or can't get a PC? It's like, you're not helping them out in that situation. It's like, it wouldn't be smart business sense. Like, Call of Duty would not let that happen to begin with. Second of all, they're worried about, the PlayStation version. Yes, Xbox had their stint too, but PlayStation, it's like, I seem to recall not that long ago that you paid, had a marketing deal to make sure content drops first on your system instead of Xbox. Yeah. So that argument is invalid. So they're worried that they pretty much screwed the pooch by trying to be the bullies and not letting the steal happen. So they're worried about Microsoft, trying to get back at them. But Microsoft's like, we want to make money. We don't care. Just let us please buy this company. So I think Sony realizes how petty they've been, even though they're still continuing to be petty, but they're letting that get in the way. They're trying to use that as more fuel to justify their worry, so to speak.
Yeah, like, this argument is
invalid.
It is childish almost at this point.
Well, and it's like not to bury the lead here, but it's like, I'll let you finish your thoughts. Sorry. But like the next article we talk about, they offer them an olive branch, but continue on your thoughts.
Well, it's like, oh, you're gonna give us a crappier version of Call of Duty, and like, hey, they totally could.
Yeah.
They 100% could do that, but they won't.
No, they won't, because because Sony's not lacking in power. Like, now, if they were trying to put it on the Switch, like, yes, the Switch is vastly underpowered compared to like PlayStation and Xbox. So there that would be a true worrisome.
Yeah.
If like Nintendo would if Nintendo was over this, about severely degrading the quality of the game, but it's not a smart business move. Like, Microsoft has now. If Microsoft was in Sony's position and they were top dog, that could be a legitimate argument because they're on top. Like they would be kings of the world, and they'd be like, we have nothing to lose. But Sony's top dog in terms of console sales right now. What would Microsoft gain from doing that?
Well, like the argument that I was listening to Game Mess earlier on the drive home, and one of the arguments is like, if the Call of Duty, most of the time, the majority of the sales happen within the first 2 months of the release. So if there are issues with the PlayStation version, people are hearing that, they're going to jump to the Microsoft version, the Xbox version of the game, because the PlayStation version's crap.
Yeah.
And I understand that argument, but let's look at this another way. Sony had a deal to get Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo,
right,
while Xbox owned both of those. And it was like, okay, we're going to honor this deal and everything, but they could have released a buggy version of them to get at them and everything for a whole year, and then drag their feet to fix it. And then when that year's up, now everything's fixed. Now the game's great. You know what I mean?
And exactly.
It's like they've had their chance. Same thing with Minecraft. If they wanted to do it with Minecraft, it was like, well, the best experience is on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. And like you brought up a good point too, because with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, they could have brought out terrible versions. Sony did a thing where it's like they're worried about it, but then they offered, I was like, get it. If you pre-order the game, you get 10% off your pre-order or whatever. Like they offered the game at a partial discount if you pre-ordered them, because they were petty that Microsoft bought Bethesda. And it's like they honored the deal to let them be first to PlayStation, and you're going to undercut, like you're going to cut a little bit money out of their pocket because it's like, oh, well, yeah, you did us a favor, but we didn't want you to buy Bethesda.
Yeah. And I like a lot of this is like weird pettiness, and like it's really making Sony look like bullies and juvenile. It's like, you wanted to go out with a girl and you never asked her out, and then you get mad that your friend asked her out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
They got tired of hearing it. It's like, I need to ask her out. This is the day I'm going to approach her. And he's like, you know what? You keep talking that talk. I'm gonna walk that walk.
Yeah. Now, did he break bro code? Yeah, he did. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, it's like, poop or get off the pot, and they never, they don't have the capital to purchase something like Activision and everything.
No.
And all of this goes to our second story. Microsoft has offered to allow Sony to have a new Call of Duty title release on PlayStation Plus day one.
They're offering them a Game Pass deal, and it's like they're offering you an olive branch to reassure that they won't screw you out of Call of Duty. And oh my gosh, it has been confirmed by Microsoft that it has offered Sony the option to have new Call of Duty titles in the future launch on Sony's PlayStation Plus subscription day one, if it wants. Microsoft is taking great lengths to demonstrate its commitment and secure approval for the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, especially from the UK's competition and the CMA, who have been a major hindrance in the process. Even though the FTC are suing them over it, there is still an option for appeal, which implies that they cannot actually stop the deal on their own. And it's like, okay, and again, I purposefully set up these articles to to create the trickle down effect, because the first one feeds into the second one, which feeds into the next one. But it's like, dude, Microsoft is basically bending over backwards to make you happy, and you're still spitting in their face, and it's so disheartening.
Yeah, and doing the, they offered the same deal as Nintendo, and they were like, no. And then we'll get into that next one, literally. But it's like having the same deal as like Game Pass. That would be huge for PlayStation fans. Like,
because they haven't done it yet.
No, and it's like to have, like, think about it. It's like every Call of Duty from now on, once this goes through, is going to be on Game Pass. That's a huge boon for Microsoft, for Game Pass as well, because we also heard that, it's hindered sales and it's slowing down in some places because like the releases aren't as strong and everything, but that's going to be a huge bolstering factor for it. But it's like Sony wants to is just being so delusional that they're going to be able to stop this. The CMA, they're going to rule in favor of this going through 100%. And then the FTC, like, I feel like there are lobbyists behind this whole suing and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like there's people that have been having their pockets padded and everything to try to slow this down, but that it will go through. Like this is pretty much a done deal at this point. And then we'll get rid of Bobby Kotick as well, and that'll be all great. But it's like once that's done, guess what? Microsoft is not going to play ball with Sony.
No.
You know what I mean?
Like we have tried multiple times to ensure that we will not screw you over, and yet you spit in my face every single time. You know?
Yeah, and it's like eventually Phil Spencer's grace is going to stop. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think they're playing with fire and they're about to get burned. Hopefully,
100%.
Hopefully, cooler heads will prevail. But that leads us to our last big Sony story for the week. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan reportedly said, "I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I want to block your merger."
Epic facepalm moment right here. Like that whole like gif of like everyone slapping their foreheads in unison. It's like, yeah, that's because it's like reportedly, Jim Ryan, CEO and president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, reportedly pulled no punches during a closed-door hearing with the EU regulators last month, telling Activision and Microsoft that, quote, "I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger." Lulu Chang Mezurve of Activision reported that Ryan's statements were made on February 21st, followed by Microsoft hosting a press conference in Brussels to introduce the Call of Duty licensing agreement with Nintendo and Nvidia. This event promised to give access to this globally popular game series up to 150 million more people, which consists of Switch players and GeForce Now users. So it's nice to know that, you know, we reported on it last month that, you know, they're doing a deal to bring Call of Duty to Switch and GeForce Now. And it was also nice to know that Sony was thrown in there.
Yeah.
But now, yes, it's of course, you know, it's a closed door hearing. It's reportedly, that's what he said. But with Jim Ryan's track record, you can pretty much take that to the bank almost because it has merit. And it sounds like something he would say. It's like, "I just want to block your merger." It's like, bro, how, like, at least if it's true, he was honest about it. He's like, "Man, I don't want anything out of this. I just don't want you to buy Activision." Like, but still, like, it doesn't make you look any better. It makes you look like a petulant child who is taking their ball and just going home after they got their butt beat. And it's just like, bro, like, why can't the game, like, again, when not Shuhei, the guy before him, the guy with the Crash t-shirt and everything, like, really gamer centric.
Oh, Sean Layden.
Yeah, Sean Layden. Like when they were like the face and running things, they were all about the consumers.
Yeah.
Jim Ryan is all about his pockets, and that again, if this holds merit, that is definitely prevalent with that statement.
Yeah, like this. Oh man, this reminds me of PlayStation 3 Sony. Like the like audacity, it's just like, I know what's best for you because I'm smart and you're not.
Yeah.
It just smacks of just like this elitism. And I know we had a comment on the NerdCave group and everything. It was like, this is going to be, you know, this is painting Sony in a negative light. I'm paraphrasing what the dude said. And it was like, this is going to hurt them in the long run. And it's like, okay, I think the craziness that's going on right now is like, man, Sony looks really bad, and people will forget about this. But if this deal goes through and Sony, you know, Call of Duty players don't get that day one PlayStation Now, like Call of Duty, they're going to remember that. You know what I mean? And it's like the fear of people going to Xbox and playing Call of Duty, you're essentially guaranteeing that people are going to do that. You know, with Switch getting it, GeForce Now, because people pay for GeForce Now and everything. Yeah. They're able to, you know, it's a subscription service just like PlayStation and Xbox has as well. So I'm curious if Switch is going to be getting it within their, like, their Nintendo Online ecosystem. Like,
Mhm.
is that if that's going to be, it's going to run like crap, but it's
Yeah.
going to be there
Oh
and
yeah.
everything. But like, Jim Ryan is really just, I don't know, man. It's I understand it is a crappy deal that they did not, try to go
Yeah.
after and everything, but it's like you can't win them all.
Right, exactly. And you talking about how, you'll become the monster you're making it out to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um that kind of reminds me of, like, we've seen that in TV shows like The Flash, or like anything with like either time travel or something where you see the future and then it's something you don't want to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're trying to do everything in your power to make sure that doesn't happen. But in doing that, you're causing the said events that you were fearing to happen because of the choices you make. And you learn the lesson of, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have known this, because maybe it would have been a different outcome, because now that I know this, in trying to prevent it, I caused the very thing that I was worried about. And it's
Yeah.
like, bro, you're talking about losing out on players and whatnot. Well, and you, let's say, not taking that deal is gonna, like, because you're on top in console sales, but if Switch is gonna get Call of Duty day one, let's the online infrastructure can't run it, but let's just say hypothetically that Call of Duty, if you got the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, you get Call of Duty day one on
Mm-hmm.
there, and everyone's like, on every PlayStation player is like, well, Game Pass has got it, Switch has got it, GeForce Now has got it. What about us? And it's like, pay $70. No, I'm gonna go get Game Pass on PC or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the writings on it's on the wall on all this kind of stuff. And you were talking about this. It's the story of Oedipus, 100%.
Yeah.
He got a prophecy, tried to avoid the prophecy, fulfilled the prophecy.
Yep. 100%.
Dan said self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's like it's there. You know what I mean? And if I was on the board of Sony, if I was on that part
Yeah.
of PlayStation, I would be calling Jim Ryan in and be like, okay, this is not going well. This looks like this is going to happen. We need to,
Rectify it.
we need to save face. We need to rectify
Yeah.
it. We need to position ourselves as the good guys, because it's like everybody is like looking at this, and it's like Amy even put it in the chat, the pettiness. It's like everybody's looking at this. It's like you are supposed to be the big dog, and you're acting like a spoiled brat. And
Exactly.
with the Switch now, the Switch is now the best selling console. Well, it's not the best selling. It's outsold PlayStation 4 now.
Yeah.
So it's got a huge install base. So it's kind of crazy what's going on and everything. So, but
Lord.
let's cleanse our palate from all of that junk, Derek, and let's talk about the PlayStation quickies.
So starting off, a new PlayStation 5 update came out that adds Discord chat, VR and VRR support for 1440p, and I don't know if it was this update or the previous updates, but I tried it out. Had an update for my controller, and it updated wirelessly. I didn't have to plug in that cord, so it looks like that update is out as well. Hallelujah. However, with the VRR 1440p, it does not include FreeSync monitors. Sony's CFO says there's a good chance the PSVR 2 will exceed PSVR 1 sales. The FTC grants Microsoft slightly limited access to Sony's particulars regarding its third-party exclusivity deals and more. Some more Final Fantasy news. Final Fantasy 16 to feature over 11 hours of cinematic cutscenes. The Final Fantasy 16 developer confirms the game isn't using Luminous or Unreal Engine. A Final Fantasy 16 and 14 crossover hasn't been ruled out by Yoshi P. Rumor for Wolverine, a game we haven't heard of in a while. Steve Blum might be involved with Marvel's Wolverine. That'd be fantastic. Just saying. Some Last of Us news. The Last of Us HBO episode 8 hits 8.1 million viewers, up 74% over series premiere. The Last of Us co-director says linear games are just easier to make in terms of like TV format. The Last of Us season 2 should begin filming this year, says Pedro Pascal. Some God of War news. Following The Last of Us success hit TV show, Cory Barlog feels the pressure having to follow up HBO's The Last of Us ahead of the God of War TV show adaptation. And lastly, Ragnarok has been nominated for 14 BAFTAs, including Best Game.
Boy. Exactly. Some crazy stats in that 11 hours of cinematic cutscenes for Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 16. Dude, I remember playing Metal Gear Solid
Yes.
5. I think it was 5. No,
Or
4.
4.
It was 4, yeah. And I remember getting to the end of the game, and it was this long cutscene. My God, it was
Yep.
this long cutscene. And my
I think
mom,
people said like 30-minute long.
yeah, it was very long. And my mom called me,
Oh gosh.
and I had to pick up, and you couldn't pause this cutscene.
Oh no.
So like I had to like redo the last mission and like get the cutscene again. But dude, like it was just like so flipping long. And I feel like I feel like it's a Japanese game kind of like thing. It's where like they put a ton of cutscenes in there, which it's fine. It's just not something that like consumers these days I feel like get bored very easily. It's like if you're playing a
yeah.
video game, you want to play a game. You don't want to just watch something. You want to be
Right.
interactive with it. And I think, one that does really well with that is God of War Ragnarok. It's like, yeah, you have cutscenes, but they don't take you so out of the action. Like it's kind of like they tell a little bit and then you're right back in control of the game and
Yeah.
everything. So and congrats to God of War Ragnarok getting 14 BAFTAs, noms. They won a bunch at DICE. Bear
Yep.
McCreary continues to rack it up. You know what I mean?
Hurdy-gurdy.
Man, I want to meet him so bad. Guys, we're out of the PlayStation quickies, but we got one last section brought to you, and this is the quick hits. They're brought to you by our wonderful patrons. You can become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew by going to patreon.com/nerdcave. Now, Derek, there's a ton of stuff that's fixing to be going live over on patreon.com.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a little tease? You want a little tease?
Yeah, go ahead, give me that tease.
So God of War, our in-depth review
Yes.
is going live over there Monday. I'm going to go ahead and say Monday is going to go live over there because I haven't done that yet. But it's going to go live Monday. And then, Derek, there's other things that are going to be going up there. There's going to be a whole new series that is just Patreon exclusive.
Ooh.
Yeah. Whole new series. What's it going to be? I don't know. You got to go over there and check it out.
You gotta subscribe.
Yeah, you got to check it out. Trust me, it's going to be great. It's going to be starring little old me.
Oh.
Little old me. But that is our sponsor for this section. Derek, take away the Patreon quick hits.
So first of all, Dead by Daylight movie in the works at Atomic Monster, Behavior Interactive, and Blumhouse. Telltale has a third unannounced project in the works alongside The Expanse and The Wolf Among Us 2. Hopefully they pump the brakes at 3 because we saw what they got 2 over their heads with ambition and it caused their studio to close. Report claims the EU is now likely to approve Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. Minecraft update Trails and Tales brings new biome, friendly mob, and more. Metroid Fusion is out now on the Nintendo Switch Online. Nintendo takes Wii U versions of Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon offline over security issues. However, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Wave 4 DLC is out today. And following that, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe may be getting 5 more characters in future DLC waves. The Final Fantasy VII Midgard DLC pack for Power Wash Simulator is out now. Following that, Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda is stepping down. EA Sports PGA Tour delayed till April 7th during the Masters Week. Hogwarts Legacy PS4 and Xbox One versions delayed to May 5th for, quote, best possible experience. It's just delay week, I guess. But that also calls to mind some other, I guess it's just WB staple during a console transition because Dying Light had to keep delaying their last gen ports until they finally canceled it. Mad Max canceled it. And Shadow of Mordor just had to delay their release from PS4 and Xbox One, came out first, and then their PS3 360 versions came out 2 months later without the best part of the game. Fortnite first-person mode reportedly coming in the game's next season. Rumor, GTA 6 release targeting holiday 2024 reveal, and the reveal is due sometime this year. Resident Evil 4 gets a 4GB day one patch ahead of launch. Resident Evil 4 remake developer wants to, quote, betray your expectations in the best possible way. you can participate in a new Resident Evil 4 remake augmented reality game right now. A Resident Evil 4 demo is out now. Ubisoft enables mouse and keyboard anti-cheat for Rainbow Six Siege console players. Former Riot executives form new studio to create next-gen open-world game. WWE 2K23 post-launch content plans include 24 superstars and legends. Following that, WWE 2K23 My GM features have been revealed by 2K, and they include new playable GMs and brands. Paradox Interactive and Colossal Order announced Cities Skylines 2 coming sometime this year. Redfall will have crossplay support across Xbox, Steam, Game Pass, and Epic Game Store. Sherlock Holmes The Awakened goes gold along with a release date of April 11th. Take-Two begins layoffs across multiple divisions, including Publisher Private Division. Playdate announces a price increase to $200 and launches a digital store with 11 new games. Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story, gets an April 18th release date. Halo Infinite Season 3 update will become, Halo Infinite's season updates will become more consistent, says 343. Google admits it can't make cloud gaming work on its own. Discord will use AI to give you summaries of your conversations. Sea of Thieves is getting a tabletop adaptation. Wild Hearts free DLC adds new monsters and quests starting tomorrow. Epic Games launches self-publishing tools for developers. Microsoft confident it can get Call of Duty running on Switch. TT Games reportedly cancels multiple projects, including Lego Disney. Warner Brothers says Harry Potter expansion is only just starting following Hogwarts Legacy's success. And lastly, Bandai Namco announces new Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi game for this year.
I totally forgot about the Dragon Ball Z, but now, Derek, I'm going to say this. Why didn't you put that as a regular story, man? I love Tenkaichi. I love Budokai. I love them Dragon Balls.
And so I was going to, but then I looked at the article and there was no substance in the, just being like, hey, it's been announced and here's the history of Dragon Ball games. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make for a compelling story or at least an article to read off of. So, I'll throw it into the quick hits. We can talk about it as one of our talking points.
Okay, so Derek, Dragon Ball Z, Budokai, Sparking. That's what it's called.
Well, Sparking in Japan.
Well, it's Spark. Whatever. I'm calling it Sparking.
Tenkaichi.
Yeah, Tenkaichi 4, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you want from this game?
Bring back the nostalgia I had for Budokai Tenkaichi from back in the PS2 days, but also, like, I wouldn't mind seeing, like, a tag system like Fighters did. You know, like, you pick a team and you can swap out, and, you know, once the entire team is beat, you win the match. But definitely, you know, they did in Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3, but Tenkaichi 1 did a dumb thing where they just had, like, base form was like, you couldn't transform, from what I remember. Like, base form was a character, Super Saiyan was a character. Like, you had to literally select it. I'm like, this is dumb. Who passed this decision?
Yeah.
But I would also like to see, like, you know, other than fighters, like, pick a tag team system, implement some other, like, customization options like Xenoverse does. You know, like, they don't have to really copy and paste it.
Yeah.
But, like, make your own, like, let them make your own character. Or, you know, like, start off as like a fighter and you learn from different people. Like, say you want to learn the special beam cannon, train with Piccolo and you earn that special beam cannon. Like, you know, it could be Goku wanting to learn it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could do something like that. But I would like to see, like, it be more, or like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I know does RPG elements. Like, I want to see a little bit more RPG in Tenkaichi, but with, like, outside of just Goku. Like, do it with more characters.
Yeah. For me, okay, this is what I think it's going to be, Derek. All right.
Yeah.
It's going to be none of those things. It is going to be Tenkaichi, just updated, new graphics, new characters. Expanded rosters. I think we're going to get going into Super. I think we will get all the way through the Tournament of Power. I'm hoping. Okay. Like, I think that's what that's what I'm hoping. We get through the Tournament of Power. And if they're really wanting to be cool, we get through the new stuff that's in the manga right now. That would be dope. But I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it, because with Dragon Ball Z, not a lot of people, like, in the anime community read the manga to warrant doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but
now if they start releasing, like let's say, like, say for hypothetical, they drop,
Mm,
they say tomorrow we're dropping the next season of Super only in Japan, and then
mhm.
those characters make it to even to the English version. That would be cool because a lot of people watch subbed anime,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just don't see them doing that kind of thing.
Well, that's my prediction. But I think it'll be playing through the story again. You know what I mean? Like they're never going to get
Oh
away
yeah,
from that kind of formula and everything. But yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a lot more like roster. Like I think we might even get like um, Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Superhero like that.
oh yeah, that I expect to get.
With Brawley. I think we'll get some interesting things within this game. And like Tenkaichi, like I love Budokai. Budokai was a lot of fun, but Tenkaichi being able to fly around within the arena and
Oh
everything
yeah,
was a huge change. And then, like I loved Kakarot, but I feel like Kakarot will be there will be a sequel to Kakarot.
oh yeah, for sure.
Just because like it did really well, like the DLC, which they announced the new DLC with Bardock and everything.
Yeah.
But I think they will make a standalone thing with that. Tenkaichi, I feel like everybody knows the formula. Tenkaichi Ultimate or whatever that came out was just trash. So
Yeah.
like I think like they're going back to kind of more of the roots and everything. So I can't wait for it, Derek. I know I love some Dragon Ball Z. Dan says he's
sir.
completely caught up with the manga. Dan is a
Okay.
real fan. Dan is
Yeah, he is.
Dan the fan. That's what I call him. Dan the fan. So I'm excited for that. There's a lot of awesome stuff in the gaming world coming out, and I cannot wait to see more awesome things happen within the gaming sphere. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We brought it to you for free. And if
Yes,
you want to
sir.
support us, you can go over to patreon.com/nerdcave, go toss a few dollars, or you can go to the Epic Games Store and use creator code NerdCave at checkout. It's free for you. It tosses a few dollars and it makes Derek holler. There you go. Guys, this has been Zach.
And Trurog the Hut, head of the Hut family.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.